You know, it all started with Schulz in Germany, and then a few years later, like in '61, Professor Lute in Canada developed a continuation of the technique by introducing the concept of neutralization and developing the new methods that facilitated the elimination of trauma and the elimination of stored emotional that could not be tolerated by the person. This is the workshop, this is the basic workshop Lute was giving in the 70s, and I attended his workshop, one of the first that he did in Montreal, and then was working with him until his death in 1984, and I got the idea that autogenics is alive and it has to keep developing, has to keep evolving. We got in touch in the times Lute did not like and didn't know much about meditation. That was something that only strange people were doing, that there were, you know, kind of rituals that were not well accepted by scientific groups. But it happens afterward, we kept to it, autogenic training, and we kept developing the method, and we discovered, we came to the conclusion that we were doing the same thing that Buddha was doing 2,500 years ago, and that the yogis were doing 5,000 years ago. We didn't know. We started from a medical approach with Schulz, and we kept developing, and then we came to talk, we came with conjoined meetings with people who were applying yoga in therapy and who were applying, like you know now, this mindfulness-based stress reduction, and there was also transcendental meditation, and we said, you are doing the same thing. In fact, I did a large study comparing different groups that were doing Vipassana, that were doing yoga, that were doing transcendental meditation, and we came to the conclusion that the subjective experience were very similar. There is one thing that we always said in autogenics, is that the important relaxation is okay. Relaxation is very important. Relaxation is the most important thing to start doing the training. But after a little while, we discovered that it's something more than relaxation. Autogenics mean that you get in touch with yourself and your experience becomes more and more available. I don't know if you're aware of that, but there are some people, many people who do start doing autogenic training, and after a while they stop doing it. The reason why they stop doing it is because they are in touch with their own deep conflicts, and sometimes they get some symptoms, discharges, and this happens in all the methods. This happens in yoga, this happens in Vipassana, this happens on everything, all those methods that I listed, and we call them therapies by induction of amplified state of consciousness. As you know, Magda usually speaks about amplified consciousness, which means that we get change in our brains. We get some change that produce this physiological relaxation. You know, this is very well known, all the physiological studies on relaxation, that Benson coined the term the relaxation response. This is a relaxation response. This is nice. It's really, really calm. But there is more than calm. There is also a very important intervention in psychosomatic medicine. Psychosomatic medicine means that there are mental factors that are altering the body function. And autogenic training does change that. it changes the mental functions, it changes the brain, and it changes the way the body works. I did some study with, would you believe, with epileptic, temporal lobe epileptics do benefit from autogenic training, basic autogenic training, but the most important thing is that the reason why they benefit from autogenic training, both psychologically and neurologically, is because autogenic training facilitates the subclinical discharges, meaning it does not stop the brain from having epileptic discharges. What it does is harmonize the brain and facilitates those discharges at a subclinical level, so the patient does not get a clinical attack. There's other studies, many studies, and this is one I did on asthmatic patients, asthma, people who couldn't breathe, and they improved in the physiological measures. The pneumologists said these people, the study of how these people is breathing with the breathing machine shows that they improve. They have the vital capacity and the expiration, all this improves. So we know that changed the way the body functions, but it also changed the way the mind functions. It changed consciousness. We get two different things. We get the state of consciousness, which is the content, is what happens in our minds, and we get the level of consciousness, which has to do with the sleep. There are many people who fall asleep doing autogenic training, which is very good. It's very good if they have to sleep. If they go to bed and they have to sleep at night and they start doing autogenic training and they fall asleep. But in the rest of the day, sleep is a distraction. There is a tendency to change the level of consciousness towards sleep, but that shouldn't happen. We have to train ourselves to amplify the state of mind without falling asleep. And this is a question of training. I wrote a book, this is a map, if you want, of a state of consciousness in which, I think we can see. Oh, good. I can move it. You can see this is the normal. The normal state of mind is just a little bit, this is the inner world, everything. You close your eyes and you get in touch with yourself, you feel your inner experience. And if you look around and you get in touch with everything around you, you get your outer experience, your external world. This is our normal state. Our normal state is around here. It's external world and a little bit of internal world. But if we do autogenic training, there is a mind amplification, there is a state of mind amplification, and we get more in contact with our inner world. We still keep contact with our external world, but we don't really care because we are practicing passive acceptance. I will talk more about that. And there are other methods like Zen meditation, or who produce states, even deeper states. And their yoga meditation may induce a state that they call samadhi, that is a state of complete absorption in the inner world and complete nirvana. As therapists, we are not really interested in samadhi, in nirvana, or on getting to the deep aspects of our minds. We are interested in being close to the external world, but working better with our internal world. We have three, as you know. We have three. I hate this completely. And we have three responses in the autogenic state. We have the basic experience of relaxation, the basic experience of tranquility. Relaxation is just the opposite of anxiety. We have the second, which is an increase in perceptual, in perception, an increase in perception of ourselves. If you are very anxious and you start doing autogenic training, the first thing that would happen is that you would realize how anxious you are. Some patients would say, I cannot do it because I get very anxious when I do it. It's not true. You don't get very anxious. You realize how anxious you are. And we have what Luther discovered, the autogenic discharges, sudden outbursts, sudden manifestations that could be like images, could be like physical sensations, sometimes like movements, like tremors, that had to do with the traumatic history of the patient. We can apply it not only for psychosomatic, not only for the treatment of anxiety and stress disorder, we can also apply autogenic training for deep psychotherapy. We training, I'm sure you know about psychoanalysis and you know about how to get it in touch with the unconscious and all that, but the point is how we do get in touch with ourselves. Autogenic training does train you, does teach, we teach the patient how to improve self-perception, how to learn free association, meaning how to differentiate between those songs as ideas that he's making up and that he's inventing, and those experiences that really come from truly the unconscious, the deep mind. And of course, we finally go to a self-unification. Self-unification means that they are not separate states, that you finally get over contradictions, conflicts. There's a part of me wants something, another part of me wants something. You will get many patients that say, there is some parts of me, that there is something I hate about myself. You know, if you hate something about myself, you are fighting against yourself. If you fight against yourself, you always lose. There's no way of winning. The only thing is to get into a state in which everything, all the different states of mind get together and get into a unified self. This is an article. There's a conference I gave to an American Academy of Psychoanalysis years ago. The title was different. When I presented this paper, the title was Learning Free Association. How to know that what comes to your mind really comes from your unconscious, or whether it's something that you are just inventing and producing. But then when I published it, I changed the title, because I think that if Freud had known and had practiced autogenic training, psychoanalysis would have been different. It would have really a real way to get into the unconscious. That's why I call it the tool that Freud was looking for. What psychoanalysis would be quite different. Now let's go to the theme, is attention management. You know, everything in autogenic training and everything in meditation, all the forms of meditation, are about training of attention. It's how you use your attention. You can use your attention in calando son, that's calando son, this is your attention. Yeah? Aventure, okay. Wandering is the one thing and the other thing, and many things comes to mind and all that. Well, I think that's the natural state of attention. That's the way attention is wandering. It's going from one thing to another. Then you can get your attention maybe attracted to something. We say, you take my attention. My attention can be drawn to noises, can be drawn to something that seems dangerous. You know, if you hear a noise, your attention is drawn to the noise because it can be something that is going to attack you. It can be a car that is going to crash you. It can be something, so we protect us to detect danger. It can be drawn to things that we like, appetizing things, food, or to charming people that we see around, and it draws our attention. Or attention can be also attracted by curiosity, by new things. I see you are very attentive to me. Thank you very much. I like that. And that must be because I'm saying something that sounds new. You are curious. You are finding some ideas. As soon as the attraction disappears, the attention wanders again about something else. And we have finally, well, attention can be concentrated, can be fixed, can be captured and fixed into something, and we do that with hypnosis. Hypnosis, attention is fixed into a fixed idea, and the person who is hypnotized cannot perceive anything else but the fixed idea. The attention is captured, fixated. But when we go to concentration, what is the first thing? Maybe not the first, but the most important thing you all learned in school. Can you remember? The first day in school? Can you remember? Can you remember that there was, there was some nice person in the back row that they were trying to look at, or there was a flying coming, and there were so many things interesting going around, and then somebody looked very hard at you and asked, what was I saying? How much is 2 plus 2? And you don't care how much is 2 plus 2, but you have to pay attention. Your teacher taught you to pay attention because you had to. It was not interesting what she was saying. She was not attractive at all. And there was nothing that, no, but you learn to pay attention. I think that's wonderful. I think that's the most important thing. And everything we learn afterwards is based on the fact that we know how to pay attention just because we want to pay attention. That's our will. But we pay what we call active attention. We call attention that it's looking after some end. We pay attention because we have to be able to make the calculation of 2 plus 2 equals 4. Okay, we have an aim. This is active concentration. And the interesting thing about active concentration is that active concentration activates the ergotropic system, activates the sympathetic system. You get stressed if you pay active concentration. And we are all living in our society, in our culture, in a slight activate sympathetic state, in a slightly activate ergotropic activity. Now, the important thing about passive concentration, you never learned passive concentration. Nobody taught you. Probably Magda taught you. And you learn, if you learn autogenic training, if you learn meditation, you learn passive concentration, because this is the whole idea of any form of meditation. The whole idea is you concentrate, you don't allow your mind to wander around, you concentrate, but you don't care about the results. What means you don't care? It means that whatever happens where you are concentrating is all right. It's perfect, it's fine. You let it be. You have nothing to do with what happens. You have a task. Your task is concentrating, but you don't have a goal. Anything that happens while you are concentrating, you accept it. I think this is the first time you hear this, you say, okay, yeah, it sounds easy. It's impossible, completely impossible. We don't know how to do it. We have to try, we have to practice. And it comes one day that it comes easy. We discover, we know that when we like something, we accept it because we like it. When we don't like something or we don't care about something, we reject it. That we know how to do it. But the question with meditation is that there are things that you accept, but you are not interested. But you don't reject it, and you accept it. How you can do that? You have to practice, because we are not used to do that. If something is not important, if you let it be, if you don't care about what happens, then you won't concentrate. And if you don't care, you will reject it. So we develop a new attitude. You know that new attitude? I'm sure you do. But it's a question of practicing. What happens when we do that? If a therapist is in the autogenic state when he is doing therapy, which is possible, you know, if you train a lot, you finally get into the normal state of life, is close, it's the autogenic state. You can be in the autogenic state while you talk or while you are listening to somebody. What happens is that you are listening to your patient and you are getting all the information, you are getting all the feelings that the patient has, you are getting all the conflicts, everything that he is expressing, you are receptive, and at the same time, you don't feel the need to react. You don't feel the need to interfere. You are just receptive, and after a while, you will know what to do. It's not a question of remember what the textbooks say or something like that. It's a question of responding. You are taking in the human experience of somebody else. It's not your human experience. It's somebody else's human experience. You are taking it, you are getting it inside of you, and then you know how you would react if you were this person, if you were living what this person is living. And you will tell them, you will tell him what you have to do. Of course, therapists have to be very therapeuticized. They have to be very healthy. They have to go through their own training and their own progression to do all that. Now, let's see. I don't know if you want to know that, attention training levels. Have you met people who say, I cannot concentrate? Or I concentrate very poorly, or I get distracted all the time? But that's true. I said that's part of the training. You do it the best you can all the time, and sometimes you get your concentration is perfect. You are in full contact with your body or with whatever you are concentrated. At other times, your concentration kind of shakes, and then you start thinking about something else. As soon as you discover that you are thinking about something else, stop and go back to the concentration. And that forms part of the training. It's not, you are not doing it badly. What you are doing, you are concentrating at your level. You are doing it the best you can. And that's it. And with practice, the best you can will be better and better. You will improve yourself by accepting every time what you are doing. You are doing your best and anything. Okay, let me, because I don't want to get over the time. You will tell me 5 minutes, okay? Well, let's say things to say about the different types of meditation. In autogenics, we do in basic autogenic training, the standard autogenic training, what we do is somatosensory meditation. We do concentrate on a static focus, something that does not change. That is our somatosensory meditation, which is the physical sensations we get in our body. Physical sensations, we could concentrate in a light, or we could concentrate in a word. If we were doing some other type of meditation, we do concentrate. First, as you know, in heaviness. What is heaviness? Heaviness means mass. Heaviness means that you get in contact with your body. You get in contact with your arms and legs, and you get the perception of the mass. And something very interesting happens, that is the earth has mass, and there is an attraction. We are sitting because there is a force called gravity that has us on the floor. And we are perceiving this force all the time. But we don't pay attention to it. When we concentrate in this force, we perceive what we call weight. And we say it. The interesting thing about autogenics is that we have a dual concentration. We concentrated in the same thing by two pathways. One pathway is the direct perception of heaviness. The other pathway is the verbal expression of what's going on. We say, the truth is my arm is heavy. It is true that it's heavy. We are making our verbal part of our brain and the experiential part of our brain, we are joining them. We are making them work together. And that's something very interesting, because that improves the communication, that improves self-discovery. Okay, but there is something new in autogenics, but after sensory meditation, which is, well, I introduced something that I want to tell you. When we were doing the all autogenic training, and we were concentrating in work, we usually do concentrate on external work. We concentrate on peripheral, we concentrate on our skin. And some trainees will say, well, I don't feel warm, I feel cold, it's really, my hands are cold. This is wrong, because we are concentrating into something that is happening, something that is true. And what is true is our body is alive. The cells of our body are alive. They have mass, that's why we feel the weight, but they also are living. They are producing energy. They are producing a metabolism, and this produces work. This produces heat. So I talk about thermogenesis, the capacity of our body to produce 36.5 or 37 degrees Celsius. And we have inner receptors. I checked that to neurology, neuroscience textbooks. And do we have receptors inside our body, in our collagen, that detects the internal temperatures? We don't care much about the external temperature. We care about the internal temperature, how it feels inside. And you will realize that you are always feeling your 36.5 degrees, so there's nothing new. And in the beginning, it's a little bit difficult to realize that your body is producing. But as you train, not only your attention, but also your perception becomes, it gets to be fine, and then you feel how your body is producing these temperatures. And arms and legs, I would say, is a little bit, this is not enough. So I extended, and Eva liked that. I extended. Did you like that? They extended the concentration on producing work, also in neck and shoulders, in the throat, in the chest, not only in the solar plexus, but as usual, but also below, in the lower abdomen. And finally, we take our concentration on the skin of the forehead. And the skin of the forehead is in touch with the air. And there's 37 degrees inside the forehead, and there is 22, let's say, outside. And this difference, this is the first time that we're getting in touch with our peripheral receptors in the skin, and this is fresh, this is cool, this is cool. And then we have say our forehead, or my forehead is cool, which is true, because, you know, it's in touch with the air. There's a difference of temperature. Okay, let me finish showing something. This is 15 brains compounded together, you know. I did a study a long time ago with my own brain in the autogenic state. I think I show it here, years back. And then, well, you know, just one case is not enough to make science. So I finally got 15 people with long experience in autogenic training doing autogenic training in a MRI machine, this machine that measures and visualizes how the brain is working. And this is the limbic system. This is, you see, this is the frontal lobe. Can you recognize this? This is the, oops. I wish I could go back. Could I go back? You help me to go back? Sorry. And, okay, so what we saw is that during the autogenic state, the limbic system, the cingulate cortex, the limbic system starts in the amygdala, it continues by the cingulate cortex like this, and it ends up in the frontal lobe, in the orbital frontal cortex. And all these regions get activated. And we think, and it makes sense, that if they get activated during the autogenic state, they will grow. If you are repeating these excitation experiences as if you are training your muscles, if you are training your brain, those regions will develop. And that explains why, after some time of training, some people say 6 months, but it could be more, could be less, the person becomes more equilibrated in general. The emotional balance improves because the limbic system is improved. We're training the limbic system. That's why then I thought This is other slides that are showing the activation of the right side of the brain, activation of the insula, which is a part that is very important also in emotional control. And there is my theory that I want to present because I'm running out of time. May I say something? Just present. And okay, that happens when the limbic system is very important to transfer emotion. You know, emotion is ex movere. Emotion means something that comes upon you and moves you. Moves you to scream, moves you to hide, moves you. That emotion goes to the amygdala. The amygdala gets ignited, activated by emotion. And then if you do nothing, you just keep meditating, that means experiencing emotion, it develops through the limbic system. It goes through this activated cingulate cortex, and it ends up in the frontal lobe, in the orbitofrontal cortex, which in neurological terms, we have all these red lines. And in psychological terms, what we are doing by feeling meditation, which is it's a development. Somebody told me yesterday, and it is true, is a development of the neutralization technique that Lute invented. And it allows the emotion that is something unpleasant, bad emotions, they're good emotions, but many emotions are unpleasant, are toxic, are destructive, whatever you want. If you do feeling meditation, those emotions transform themselves slowly into a subjective experience that ends by producing an opinion. Fear means, well, my limbic system has the opinion that something terrible is going to happen. Well, let's see, the limbic system is a brain that is at the level of a dog. So you may love your dog, but you won't allow your dog to run your life. You won't allow your limbic system to run your life. But nevertheless, it's very important just to listen and to find out and to allow this emotion to go, and then you discover that something bad may happen. What may be? You may reason. And anger means that your limbic system has the opinion that something is intruding into your territory, that something is just crossing your way and you have to destroy it. You have to get free. Which is okay, I mean, that's a good opinion. The problem is how to do it. And that's the reason. Reasoning means how to do what your feeling is telling you. But to know what your feeling is telling you, they have this new method, this new technique that I call the feeling meditation. It's the same, that sensory meditation, but you are not meditating in the static experience of body sensations. You are meditating in the dynamic experience of how the emotion transforms itself into feeling. Thank you very much. I like very much talking to you. So attentive. Thank you. Thank you.